Everyone's social media profile picture is about to awaken into a transcendent power. Some people have Ultraman as theirs. Once they awaken, they'll transform into beings of light, protecting the innocent. Others chose Super Saiyans. They'll possess the power to sweep through the void. Then there are those who love pet photos. They'll be able to summon ferocious, powerful beasts to fight by their sides. But for those using landscapes or wild animals as their icons, those images will manifest as horrific monsters, demonic spirits and evil entities that will plague the world. My name is Lin Mo. In my past life, I didn't take profile pictures seriously at all before the cataclysm hit. Back then, I just wanted to follow a trend and join in on a meme. I absent-mindedly picked a funny gif, a chicken holding a basketball and dancing. But when the crimson moon descended and everyone else was awakening world-shattering miracles, I turned into a dancing chicken. Aside from some frantic clucking and a few ridiculous dance moves, I had absolutely no way to protect myself. In that post-apocalyptic world where human life was worth nothing, I lived worse than a dog. I only had a brief 2-hour window every day. During the morning when it was safe to go outside, I had to scavenge right under the noses of those monsters, digging through ruins for moldy scraps. Eventually, while I was searching for a piece of bread, I made a mistake. I accidentally bumped into the school bully, Wang Teng, who had awakened a powerful profile. With a casual flick of a spirit wave, he ruthlessly took my life, that agonizing pain of my body being torn apart. It's still etched into the depths of my soul. When I open my eyes again, I find myself back in my dim, cramped rental apartment. The clock on the wall is ticking away. It's February 28th, 8 p.m. There are only 4 hours left. Before the cataclysm that changes the fate of humanity, I bolt upright, gasping for fresh air. As I feel my heart pounding frantically, I know I've been reborn. In this new life, I will never let that absurd tragedy happen again. The minutes are slipping by. As a professional illustrator, I hold the brush that can rewrite destiny this time around. Others are stuck with whatever random images they already have, but I can craft my own. I'm going to create the ultimate, most powerful profile picture for myself. I scramble out of bed, shoving the cups of instant noodles off my desk. I fire up my computer and launch my professional drawing software. Within my mind, countless forbidden mythological beings begin to emerge. Since I'm drawing this, I'm going to create a force greater than this world can even contain. I plan to fuse the absolute peaks of power from Chinese mythology. First, the creator of the heavens, the primordial god who commands the grand chaos, Hongjun. Second, the sovereign of all demons, who cowers the 9 underworlds, Donghuang. Third, the ancestor of all dragons, the supreme ruler of the 4 seas, Zhulong. But I still feel like it's missing a touch of ultimate destructive force. So, I decide to add the strongest fused warrior from the world of anime. From Dragon Ball, the ultimate fusion of Kakarot and Vegeta, Vegito. I'm going to stitch these 4 beings, capable of shattering dimensions, into a single profile picture. This is a forbidden feat that no one has ever dared to try. My fingers fly across the drawing tablet. Between the interlacing lines, the silhouette of a man in white robes, radiating divine martial prowess, begins to take shape. Behind him, the faint shadows of 10,000 screaming demons appear. Beneath his feet, he treads upon a massive golden dragon, while his entire body is wreathed in the signature blue-gold aura of a Saiyan. I pour every ounce of my focus into adjusting every detail. Sweat soaks through my shirt, but I don't dare slack off for even a second. Because I know this isn't just a drawing. This is my future, the only leverage I have to survive in this broken world. Time flies, and it's suddenly 11 p.m. Only 1 hour remains before the cataclysm. I let out a long, shaky breath, and click save. I stare at the screen, at the lifelike and overwhelming presence of my new profile picture. A shiver crawls up from the very depths of my soul. This illustration is absolute, original. It is the one and only supreme sequence in this entire world. I quickly transfer the image to my phone. Without wasting a single second, I swap out every profile picture on all my social media apps. Just as I'm taking a sip of water to steady my nerves, my phone gives a sudden buzz. It's a message from a friend I rarely ever talk to. He's asking why, this late at night, I've suddenly changed my profile pic to something so edgy and chunabu. I stare at his profile picture, just a mundane, everyday snapshot, and my heart trembles. In my past life, people like him were basically just monster fodder. During the very first wave of the impact, I hesitate for a moment, but I decide to send a reply anyway. If the sky starts changing colors soon, lock your doors and windows if you want to live. Hide in the deepest part of your room. Whatever you do, do not run outside. After hitting send, I close the chat box. I don't bother waiting for his confused response. I stand by the window, looking out at this bustling metropolis known as the premier capital of Long Nation. The neon lights are still glowing bright, but who could guess that in just a few minutes, This place will transform into a living hell. 30 seconds left on the countdown. My mind becomes eerily calm. For someone who has already died once, there is nothing left to fear. March 1st, midnight sharp. A bolt of dark red lightning rips through the pitch-black sky in an instant. Then comes a roar that threatens to shatter my eardrums, sounding like the death knell of the apocalypse echoing from the clouds. In the middle of the blackened sky, a blood moon, sinister beyond belief, rises out of nowhere. Its light is a thick, visceral crimson, like fresh blood, instantly blanketing the entire earth. Countless people are jolted awake from their sleep by the eerie commotion. Instinctively, they reach for their phones, wanting to see what on earth is happening. But the very moment they light up their screens, a blinding, piercing glare erupts from the devices. For those using landscape photos as their profile pictures, it's as if a bloody hole has been ripped into their screens. Hideous, ghastly monsters crawl out from the thick blood mist. They unhinge their massive, gore-stained maws, and before their owners can even react, they are swallowed whole. Wails of agony begin to echo through the entire apartment building. Those using wild beasts as profile pictures have it even worse. The demons in their avatars crawl out with twisted, mocking grins. Like they're just having a light snack, they begin to feast on their owner's flesh and blood. In just a few minutes, the entire world is reduced to ruins. I sit before my computer, feeling a sudden, searing pain in my brain. My vision begins to blur. A terrifying will descends upon my consciousness. I black out completely. When I finally drift back into consciousness, I realize I've arrived in a vast, ethereal space of primordial chaos. There is no gravity here, no direction, only endless stars swirling in the void. I look up, and I'm rendered speechless by the sight before me. Towering in front of me are 4 colossal statues that seem to prop up the very heavens. Each one radiates a pressure so intense it makes the stars dim. These are the 4 beings I used for my profile pictures. Because I drew them with my own hands, they look more real than any mythological description, more alive. A peerless, overwhelming aura emanates from their bodies. Just as I'm about to buckle under the weight, just as my soul feels like it's about to shatter from the pressure, a warm, massive surge of power suddenly floods into my body from the void. My withered limbs and exhausted veins are instantly revitalized with an incredible surge of life. I realize right then this is my moment of awakening. I walk toward the first statue. It's the fused warrior, Vegito, his muscles rippling, radiating an infinite, burning will to fight. The moment my hand touches the base of the statue, the entire space erupts with the thunderous roar of a Saiyan transformation. A golden light explodes outward like a mountain flash flood. It's flooding into my body. I can feel every single cell undergoing a frantic metamorphosis. It's an absolute sense of power, the kind that could shatter a mountain with a single punch. In an instant, my hair flashes into a brilliant, radiant gold. Blue arcs of electricity crackle and hiss, coiling around my entire body. This explosive surge in combat strength, it makes me want to throw my head back and roar at the heavens. Then, once the inheritance of power is complete, the statue explodes with a thunderous boom, turning into a cloud of golden mist. That merges directly into my soul. I don't stop there. I keep moving toward the next statue, the Red Army warrior, standing tall in robes as white as snow. He isn't as rugged as the legends suggest. Instead, he radiates a sacred authority that commands respect without even trying. I gently press my hand against the statue. Instantly, a vast ancient aura sweeps through my entire being. This is the primordial power that forged the world itself. My bones are tempered until they're as hard as divine iron. In this moment, my physical defense reaches a height beyond imagination. Even if a heavy tank slammed into me full tilt, I suspect it would be the one reduced to scrap metal from the impact. This rush, this thrill of my strength, increasing tenfold or more, it leaves me absolutely intoxicated. Curiously though, the Red Army statue doesn't vanish like the previous one. It remains there, standing silently, as if there's an even deeper layer of power waiting for me to unearth. I take a moment to steady my racing heart, then turn toward the statue of the demon ancestor, Dong Huang. The progenitor of all demons is shrouded in swirling black energy, looking as if he carries an endless abyss upon his back. The very second my fingers brush against the stone, a streak of violet-black light lances into the space between my brows. Deep within the sea of my consciousness, a long spear wrapped in bolts of black lightning silently emerges, the Chaos Spear. A divine weapon from the legends, one capable of even slaying saints. Though I can only tap into a fraction of its true potential right now, it's more than enough to let me sweep through any low-level evil spirits. Having a god-slaying artifact in my hand gives me a sense of security, a confidence that strips away any fear of this apocalypse. Finally, I reach the ancient statue of Zhulong. 2 golden dragons circle the figure, their roars echoing in the air. I take a deep breath and place my hand upon it. A high-pitched dragon's cry explodes through the chaotic space. The phantom of a small dragon dives straight into my chest. I try to channel that power, and suddenly, a pair of majestic golden dragon horns sprout from my forehead. A set of ornate, indestructible golden dragon armor instantly encases my body. In my right hand, a blade manifests, the golden dragon sword, radiating supreme majesty. In this moment, I feel like a true overlord descending upon the mortal realm. With the blessing of these 4 god-tier powers, I've gone from being a common painter to a being with the combat prowess of a god. Just as I prepare to push the limits of this power even further, the chaotic space begins to shudder violently. The light and shadows shatter, rearranging themselves. My consciousness is violently yanked back to reality by a massive force. My eyes snap open. I find myself still sitting in that same old wooden chair. The blood-red moonlight filters through the cracks in the window, casting a glow across my face. That feels eerily supernatural. The television in the room is still on. Due to the signal interference, the screen is washed out with static and snow, but I can still hear the news anchor's voice, trembling with sheer terror. An emergency broadcast is playing. Please, all citizens, lock your doors and windows. Do not open the door for anyone. If you find that your portrait has awakened some kind of special ability, please, while ensuring your own safety, assist the neighbors around you. I glance at the clock on the wall. It's already 2 a.m. Outside, the sounds of those inhuman screams haven't faded at all. If anything, they've become even more shrill and agonizing. I can even hear something heavy, scraping harshly against the concrete walls. I look down at my hands. That mountain-moving, sea-leveling power is still surging within me. I know now that this was no hallucination. In my past life, the name Yimo stood for cowardice and death. But in this life, it will become the deepest nightmare. For every demon, ghost, and monster in existence, I walk over to the window and look down at the monsters below, mindlessly devouring everything in the streets. A cold smile curled the corners of my lips. Since the heavens have granted me a second chance at life, I will be the one to rewrite the rules of this apocalypse. To those who trampled over me in my past life, and to the demons seeking to devour humanity, I hope you're ready. Are you prepared to face a god of slaughter, forged from the powers of 4 great divinities? I gripped the hilt of my shimmering golden dragon sword with a reverse hold and pushed open the gates to hell. The nauseating stench of blood hung heavy in the stairwell. A few low-level ghouls, their bodies covered in oozing pustules, were hunched over on the floor, gnawing on something. At the sound of my footsteps, they snapped their heads toward me, their pale, lifeless eyes locked onto mine, as they let out a piercing, guttural screech. I didn't even bother drawing my blade. With a single thought, a surge of energy gathered at my fingertips, the blue-gold aura of a Saiyan. I flicked a finger toward them. A blinding pillar of light instantly tore through the corridor. Those ghouls didn't even have the chance to struggle. They were vaporized into ash before they could blink. This is the crushing weight of absolute power. I stepped over the remains and walked out of the apartment building. In my previous life, I lived worse than a dog, scavenging for moldy scraps in the shadows every single day. But in this life, I will fear nothing. The scene on the streets was more horrific than any disaster movie. Abandoned cars were engulfed in flames, the firelight reflecting off the faces of the panicked crowds fleeing for their lives. Countless grotesque monsters were slaughtering indiscriminately under the cover of night. I walked through the chaotic streets with cold indifference. My overwhelming pressure was so intense that the low-level spirits didn't dare come within 10 feet of me. My primary objective was to reach the large shopping mall ahead to gather survival supplies. Even with the power to move mountains and seas, in an apocalyptic world, a steady supply of food and water is still the ultimate leverage. Just as I reached the alleyway, alongside the mall, the sound of a fierce struggle and a woman's sharp cry caught my attention. I slowed my pace and looked toward the noise. At the end of the alley, 2 men had a girl backed into a corner. Her beauty was breathtaking, like a celestial being who didn't belong in this world. From her back, a pair of wings glowing with a faint white light were unfurled. It looked like a rare angel-type ability, but her wings were tattered and broken now. She had clearly just fought a desperate battle. Of the 2 men, one had arms that had mutated into massive wolf claws, while the other was shrouded in a haze of black, poisonous gas. The way they looked at her was filled with a revolting, predatory greed. "Stop fighting it, little beauty. Just come with us quietly. We'll make sure you live the good life in this wasteland." The girl bit her pale lip, her eyes filled with grim determination. "In your dreams, I'd rather die than let myself be used by scumbags like you." The man with the poison gas let out a cold sneer and lunged forward to take her by force. But just as the black mist was about to touch the girl, the wall above them suddenly collapsed. A massive, multi-eyed monster covered in tentacles dropped from the sky, completely blocking the exit. The creature radiated an aura of extreme danger. The 2 men panicked instantly. Forgetting all about the girl, they spun around to bolt, but I stepped slowly out of the shadows, blocking their only path of retreat. Who the hell are you? Get out of the way. We're with the Raging Lion Guild. The Wolfclaw man glared at me fiercely, trying to use his status to intimidate me. I looked at them blankly, as if I were looking at two ants I could crush at any moment. In this dying world, the thing I hate most is trash that preys on the weak. I didn't draw my sword. I simply released a fraction of my supreme godlike pressure. A terrifying force, seemingly from the primordial dawn of time, slammed into the two men. It was as if they had been hit head-on by an invisible sledgehammer. Before they could even scream, every bone in their bodies shattered instantly. They burst into twin mists of blood, vanishing completely into the air. Even that massive, cyclopean monstrosity was ground into a pulp by the sheer force of the pressure. The girl stood there, staring blankly at the incredible scene unfolding before her. Thank you. Thank you for saving my life, benefactor. My name is Lin Qingshu. I spared her a fleeting, indifferent glance, my voice remaining flat and devoid of emotion. It was nothing special. You can go now. But Lin Qingshui suddenly grabbed the corner of my sleeve, a flicker of desperation in her eyes. Benefactor, the world is too dangerous now. In my current state, I won't survive out here alone. Please, let me follow you. My first instinct was to refuse, but then I considered that I still didn't have a full grasp of the current situation in this apocalypse. Having someone around who knows the ropes might save me a lot of trouble. You want to come with me? Fine. But you follow my orders, no exceptions. Lin Qingshu nodded fervently, her eyes brimming with the relief of a survivor. As we scavenged for supplies, Lin Qingshui gave me a detailed breakdown of the information she had gathered. It turns out that post-awakening abilities are categorized into 5 distinct tiers: common, rare, epic, legendary, and mythic. She looked at me, her voice filled with pure adoration. Benefactor, the pressure you exerted earlier was at least legendary tier, maybe even mythic, the level above legendary. I laughed inwardly. I had literally stitched together the 4 most powerful beings in existence. A unique existence like mine had likely shattered the power ceiling of this world long ago. Lin Qingshu went on to explain that the city had been partitioned into several danger zones. Each territory is occupied by an incredibly powerful regional wraith. These wraiths, and the various powerful families who awakened elite abilities, have formed a bizarre, uneasy stalemate. Humans dare not step into the core territory of the spirits, and the wraiths don't recklessly attack the human-established safe zones. Just as Lin Qingshui finished explaining the rules of these territories, the ground beneath our feet began to shudder violently, as if a magnitude 10 earthquake had just struck. Without warning, a massive black rift tore open across the distant night sky. An utterly terrifying evil spirit poked the better half of its skull through the tear. Its head was as massive as a mountain, with eerie green ghost fire burning within its hollow eye sockets. The temperature of the entire block plummeted to freezing. Lin Qingshui turned deathly pale from fright and instinctively ducked behind me. What rank is that thing? It feels even more horrifying than a mythic tier. I narrowed my eyes slightly, tightening my grip on the golden dragon sword. Just as I was preparing to test the waters and see what this big guy was made of, a sudden commotion of footsteps and shouting echoed from up ahead. A heavily armed squad of awakened came scrambling down the street in a pathetic state of retreat. Leading them was a young man cloaked in blazing crimson flames. Right beside him followed a tall woman with a pretty face. The moment I saw their faces, the killing intent in my eyes nearly solidified into a physical force. It was Wang Teng, the school bully who murdered me in my past life, and Lu Ruyan, my gold-digging ex-girlfriend, who betrayed me. Talk about a small world. Wang Teng clearly noticed me too. He froze for a second, then erupted into a fit of piercing, arrogant laughter. Well, look who it is. If it isn't our school's famous trash artist, Limo. Liu Ruyan looked at me with equal disdain. Limo, you're actually still alive? Judging by the state of you, though, I bet you've just been hiding in some hole, scraping by like a rat. The members of their squad broke into mocking laughter. It was clear, they all viewed me as nothing more than a bottom feeder in this new world. Then, Wang Teng's gaze shifted. Then, Wang Teng turned his gaze. Her eyes landed on Lin Qingshu, who was standing right behind me. In an instant, a flash of pure greed erupted in her gaze. Well, if it isn't our very own Campus Bella, Lin Qingshu. Lin Mo, you're nothing but a bottom-feeding toad. Did you really think you could get a taste of swan meat? I can't believe you actually managed to cling to her like a parasite. Liu Ruyan stared at Lin Qingshu's flawless face. A thick wave of jealousy flickered through her eyes. Qingshu, you're a genius who awakened an angel-tier ability. Why are you hanging around with a loser like this? Get over here, right now. Brother Wang Teng is an epic rank awakened now. Following him is the only way you're going to survive this apocalypse. Lin Qingshui looked at them with pure disgust. Her voice was ice-cold as she shot back. Lin Mo is 10,000 times stronger than any of you. You have absolutely no idea. just what kind of existence you're standing in front of. To Wang Teng, it sounded like the funniest joke in the world. He doubled over, roaring with laughter. Him? A measly painter? What kind of garbage ability could a class like that even awaken? And he dares to compare himself to me? Just as Wang Teng was about to make his move, ready to humiliate me once and for all, the massive evil spirit hovering in the sky seemed to lock onto our position. A terrifying pressure, the kind that makes your very soul tremble, suddenly crashed down from the heavens. It felt like the end of the world was descending upon us. Driven by a force that promised total annihilation, the spirit dived straight toward me. Its overwhelming aura slammed into the ground with physical force. Everyone in Wang Teng's squad turned pale as ghosts. The abilities they were so proud of, faced with this absolute power, crumbled into nothingness in an instant. The flames dancing around Wang Teng flickered out. His knees buckled, and he hit the ground hard, forced into a pathetic kneel. Lu Ruyan was shaking so violently she couldn't even stand. Her legs gave way, and she collapsed face first into a muddy puddle. The other team members were flat on the ground, closing their eyes in sheer despair. The strength of this evil spirit was on a level that defied all reason. Its sickly green eyes were fixed solely on me. It opened its abyssal maw, as if it intended to swallow the entire street whole. It's over. We're all going to die here. Lin Mo, you're a jinx. You brought this monster here. I know they're blaming me, but I don't care. I watched the massive creature diving toward us, with a cold, detached gaze. My heart didn't even skip a beat. A piece of trash like this actually thinks it can act arrogant in my presence? I slowly raised my head. Within my eyes, a brilliant violet-black light suddenly exploded. It was the destructive will of the demon ancestor, Donghuang. I didn't even need to use a technique. I simply stared back at the evil spirit. Within my consciousness, I unleashed the ultimate killing intent of the Chaos Spear and channeled it through my gaze. With just a single look, the once invincible evil spirit suddenly let out a blood-curdling shriek of pure agony. That massive, towering body was like snow meeting a raging furnace. It fractured and dissolved, inch by inch, right there in midair. It didn't even have the chance to struggle. It disintegrated into a cloud of black ash, drifting away into the night wind. The entire street fell into a deathly silence. Everyone, including Lin Qingso, stared at the scene in utter disbelief. A single glance, with nothing more than a look, a terrifying nightmare that had brought everyone to their knees, was instantly erased. Wang Teng's jaw dropped. His eyes looked like they were about to pop out of his skull. He stared at me, his whole body trembling, as if he were looking at some unspeakable, cosmic horror. This is impossible. You're supposed to be a loser, a failure. How could you possibly have this kind of power? Lu Ruyan was completely stunned. She thought that by clinging to Wang Teng, she would be safe and sound for the rest of her life. She never imagined that the ex-boyfriend she looked down on would possess the power of a god. I didn't even give them a passing glance. I turned to Lin Qingshu, ready to head out. It was time to find some higher-ranked spirits to use as practice. But, just as I was about to leave this empty battlefield, the entire city beneath my feet was suddenly pierced by the wail of air raid sirens. Countless auras of pure, terrifying evil are surging toward the heavens from every direction. The massive wave of malevolent spirits has officially broken loose. The blood-red moonlight deepens, turning thick and heavy, looking as if it's about to drip fresh gore from the sky. Along the horizon, hundreds, no, thousands of gargantuan shadows emerge. One shadow in particular radiates the suffocating pressure of a calamity-rank evil god. His entire body is wreathed in crackling black lightning, and with every breath he takes, the very earth and mountains tremble. Across every district, the great noble families have sounded their highest-level combat alarms. Countless flashes of awakened abilities illuminate the city, but they are quickly swallowed by the encroaching darkness. That evil god-level spirit seems to have detected the aura I unleashed moments ago. From several blocks away, he fixes his gaze on me, a gaze filled with nothing but a raw desire for destruction. A cold smirk plays on my lips. The Saiyan blood in my veins begins to boil. Now times is the kind of prey I need just to warm up. I don't give a second thought to Wang Teng or Lu Ruyan, who are collapsed on the ground. I transform into a streak of golden light and rocket into the sky, crashing head-on into that evil god-level monstrosity. The entire sky is instantly split in two by a collision of gold-blue flares and chaotic black lightning. I clench my right fist tight, merging the primordial power of creation perfectly with Vegito's combat instincts. I throw a simple, unassuming straight punch. The force of it shatters the evil god's defensive barrier and his lightning armor in one brutal strike. A deafening sonic boom echoes across the entire city. That evil god, a creature capable of leveling an entire district, is actually sent flying hundreds of meters back by a single blow. He lets out a roar of pure fury, attempting to impale me with countless jagged bone spikes. Calm and composed, I draw the golden dragon sword, a blade radiating supreme majesty. A golden arc of sword intent, hundreds of meters long, instantly cleaves through the night sky. Accompanied by the high-pitched roar of a dragon, it shears through the evil god's massive frame, severing half of his body clean off. Black blood pours down like a torrential rainstorm. Finally, that high and mighty evil spirit knows the meaning of true fear. Desperate, he tears a rift in space and scrambles to escape. I stand there, suspended in the void, looking every bit the invincible god of war. This single battle sends shockwaves through the entire area. The noble families who were struggling just to survive all bore witness to this impossible feat. It doesn't take long before envoys from the top-tier factions start scrambling to get in front of me. Their attitudes are now incredibly humble, offering astronomical rewards and conditions just for the chance of me joining their families, to act as their guardian. Meanwhile, Lu Ruyan comes crawling to my feet on her hands and knees. Her face is a mess of tears and desperation. She clings to my leg for dear life. Limo, I was wrong. I was blind back then. Just give me one more chance. Can't we just go back to how we were? I coldly pull my leg away, my eyes devoid of even a hint of warmth. Get lost. My voice sends her reeling back. She slumps to the ground, sobbing uncontrollably, too terrified to even try approaching me again. I look indifferently at the people before me. These envoys from the elite families who think they're so high and mighty. Usually, they lord over this wasteland, holding the power of life and death over ordinary people. But now, they're like a pack of hunting dogs wagging their tails for scraps, crowding around me. The envoy from the Zhao family, rulers of the East District, steps forward first. He holds out a chest overflowing with high-grade spirit cores, his face masked in a sycophantic smile. Mr. Lin, if you join the Zhao family, half of the East District will be yours to command. The representative from the Chu family in the West District won't be outdone. He shoves the Zhao envoy aside. The Chu family is willing to name you our supreme elder. The entire family's resources are yours to use as you please. Lin Qingsui stands quietly behind me, watching these untouchable power players bow their heads to me. I don't even spare a single glance at their so-called treasures. I have zero interest in your families. Don't annoy me. With that, I turned and left. I turned around, ready to lead Lin Qingsui from these ruins. The Zhao clan envoy's expression instantly turned hideously dark. He was used to looking down on everyone from his high horse. No one had ever dared to disrespect the Zhao clan like this before. Li Mu, don't choose the hard way over the easy one. Don't think that just because you drove off a single evil spirit, you can suddenly act like you own the streets of Longcheng. Our Zhao clan is backed by 3 legendary ancestors. If you cross us, you won't be able to take a single step in this entire city. I came to a halt. Tilting my head slightly, I shot him a cold, piercing glare. Are you threatening me? Thinking I was intimidated, the Zhao envoy immediately reverted to his arrogant, insufferable self. It's just the truth. If you back down right now and come back to the Zhao clan with me, I might find it in my heart to be merciful and put in a good word for you with the ancestors. Before he could even finish his sentence, I flicked a thought toward him. A burst of invisible energy slammed into his chest. He flew backward like a kite with a snapped string, soaring through the air before crashing heavily into a derelict building. The envoys from the other families all gasped in collective terror, stumbling backward in retreat. I walked up to the arrogant Zhao envoy, looking down on him with pure disdain. Go back and tell your people. If those so-called legendary ancestors piss me off, I won't hesitate to wipe the Zhao clan off the face of this earth. The bystanders didn't even dare to breathe. They could only watch in silence as I led Lin Qingsui away. Over the next few days, I took Lin Qingshu with me. As we continuously hunted evil spirits throughout the ruins of Longcheng, every single battle allowed me to gain better control over the 4 divine powers surging within me, making my mastery even more fluid. I discovered that as long as I defeated high-tier spirits, I could absorb the unique energy they released upon death. This energy could be used to nourish the primal chaos spear deep within my consciousness. With my help, Lin Qingshui's angelic abilities began to gradually recover, eventually even ascending to the epic rank. Her healing powers and light-based spells became an excellent support system during my battles. But the peace didn't last long. The Zhao clan clearly couldn't swallow the insult. They put out a warrant for my arrest across the entire Eastern District. They even put a massive bounty on my head. 10 high-tier spirit cores for anyone who could give up my location. In this resource-starved wasteland, 10 high-tier cores were enough to drive anyone into a frenzy. Just as we finished clearing out an evil spirit nest in a deserted hospital, the entire building began to shake violently. It felt like the air was being sucked out of the room, and an incredibly oppressive weight settled over us. Just as we prepared to break out, a black barrier descended from the sky, completely sealing off the entire block. Un ancien massive formation slowly shimmered into existence beneath our feet. I frowned slightly. I could feel a powerful suppression coming from the array. constantly draining the stamina of every living thing trapped inside. Savior, this is the Zhao clan's 9-nether soul-locking array. Rumor has it that even legendary powerhouses will have their strength completely drained if they're caught in it. A burst of maniacal laughter echoed from beyond the barrier. The great elder of the Zhao clan appeared at the edge of the array, flanked by dozens of elite family members. He looked at me coldly, his eyes burning with pure greed. Limu, you are indeed strong, but you are far too arrogant. This 9-nether soul-locking array was laid down by our Zhao clan ancestors at a massive cost. This is an inescapable net, a trap from the heavens and the earth. There is no escape for you today. Hand over your power and inheritance like a good boy, and I might just show you some leniency. I looked at the gloating members of the Zhao clan, a flash of cold mockery crossing my eyes. So, this is how you prestigious families operate? Using such pathetic, underhanded tactics behind the scenes? The great elder of the Zhao clan let out a sneering laugh. To the victor go the spoils, and the loser, well, they're just history. In this world, power is the only eternal truth. Once I've stripped away your will to fight, I'm going to seize that little girl with the angel ability. She'll make for a fine asset after some proper cultivation. I'm done wasting my breath on him. The Saiyan blood in my veins begins to boil instantly. A brilliant, golden blue aura erupts from me like a violent volcanic explosion. The sheer force of this energy surge causes the formation beneath my feet to groan and shatter under the unbearable pressure. The great elder of the Zhao family turns pale, his expression twisting. He desperately channels the formation's power, trying to suppress me. But at that moment, I'm bathed in the Red Army's light of creation. This is the power that forged the heavens and the earth. It renders the formation's restraints completely useless. With a flick of my wrist, I summon the golden dragon sword. Black lightning of pure destruction coils around the blade. Break for me! I roar, swinging the blade. A terrifying wave of sword chi, carrying the roar of dragons and the crash of thunder, slashes through the very fabric of space. That formation, the one they claimed could trap even a legend rank, is torn to shreds like wet paper. The black barrier collapses in an instant. The violent backlash of energy sends the surrounding Zhao family elites flying. The great elder hits the ground hard, his eyes wide with a mix of disbelief and sheer terror. This is impossible. Just what kind of monster are you? I walk toward him, step by steady step. The golden dragon sword in my hand gleams with a lethal, cold light. I told you. If you pissed me off, I'd make sure the Zhao family was wiped off the face of the earth. He scrambles backward in a panic, attempting a desperate counterattack with his abilities. But I shut him down with a single kick that shatters his dantian. His power vanishes into nothingness. I decide to head straight for the Zhao family's headquarters. It's time to pull this thread out by the roots. Lin Qingshui follows closely behind me. There's no fear in her eyes, only absolute, unwavering trust in me. We track the retreating remnants of the Zhao forces, all the way to the heart of the Eastern District. What was once a lavish private estate has been transformed by the Zhao family into an impregnable fortress. The perimeter is bristling with specialized defense towers. But against my golden dragon sword, these defenses might as well be made of glass. I move through the compound like a ghost, systematically dismantling their lines. Those elite Zhao guards, who used to look down on everyone from their high perches, can do nothing now but tremble under the weight of my pressure. I kick open the doors to the main manor. Surprisingly, it's silent inside. The hall is completely empty, saturated with a strange, dark energy. Following the scent of that malice, I find a hidden iron door leading underground. I cleave the door open with a single strike, revealing a massive subterranean plaza. At the center of the square, a sinister black totem has been etched into the ground. Right then, I spot the head of the Zhao family, standing in the middle of that totem. His body is undergoing a forced fusion with a horrific, epic rank evil spirit. It's a gruesome sight. Amidst a violent vortex of energy, he's devouring every drop of spiritual essence from the environment and forging it into his own twisted power. The mutated head of the Zhao family has transformed into something barely human. His skin is covered in rigid black scales, and his frame has ballooned to several times its original size. In his grip, he wields a grotesque, massive blade forged from condensed dark energy. Once the fusion is complete, he locks his blood-red eyes onto me. Lin Mo, you're the one who pushed me to this. To destroy you, I forcibly absorbed the very essence of this wraith. I've transcended the limits of the legend rank. I've reached the realm of a half-step myth. I'm going to make you pay in blood. His voice sounds like grinding metal, fueled by nothing but pure insanity. He lunges off the ground, his massive body moving with an impossible, explosive speed. That giant blade screams through the air as it comes crashing down toward me. I let out a cold snort. I don't back down an inch. I charge straight into the collision. The golden war armor of the ancestral dragon envelops my body, radiating a supreme and absolute majesty. The massive blade slammed violently against my battle armor, A shower of blinding sparks exploded between us, but I didn't even flinch. The physical defense granted to me by the Red Army is nothing short of indestructible. A flicker of pure shock crossed the Zhao family head's eyes. He clearly didn't expect that a strike with every ounce of his power wouldn't even leave a scratch. My turn. I channeled the full surge of my Saiyan aura into my right fist. The sheer pressure of the punch compressed the air, triggering a violent, deafening sonic boom. I smashed my fist directly into his defensive shield. Asterisk crack. Asterisk. His hardened barrier shattered under my raw strength. He let out a pained howl, his massive frame stumbling back uncontrollably. But I wasn't about to give him a moment to breathe. I summoned the Chaos Spear from the depths of my sea of consciousness. A faint, violet-black shimmer flickered at the tip of the blade. This divine weapon, imbued with the ultimate will of destruction, was the perfect tool for dealing with a half-human, half-ghost freak like him. In a flash of movement, I appeared directly above him. The Chaos Spear transformed into a bolt of black lightning, piercing straight through his energy core. The violet-black power of annihilation instantly erupted inside his body. The lingering consciousness of that epic-grade evil spirit within him let out a desperate final shriek. Before being completely purified into nothingness, the Zhao family head's hulking body shriveled up like a punctured balloon, stripped of all its stolen power. He collapsed limply to the ground, falling into a deep, permanent coma. The Zhao family, the once unrivaled overlords of the Eastern District, had reached their end at my hands. I retracted the Godslayer spear, calming the restless blood surging through my veins, just as I was about to take Lin Qingsu with me. To scavenge the resources from the Zhao family vault, a crisp sound of clapping echoed. From the shadows of the underground plaza, a mysterious figure draped in a golden cloak slowly stepped forward. His aura was even more unfathomable than the monster I had just faced. The stranger showed no signs of hostility. Instead, he looked me over with genuine interest. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. I never expected this remote dragon city to give birth to an existence like you, someone who breaks the very rules of the world. I tightened my grip on the golden dragon sword, my gaze cold as I faced him. And just who the hell are you? The mysterious man gave a thin smile and pulled back his hood, revealing a face of striking, unnatural beauty. On his forehead, a golden mark flickered in and out of sight, radiating a divine, yet eerily unsettling energy. You can call me the Divine Envoy. I come from the core zone beyond this city, what you people refer to as the Nexuses. This was the first time I'd ever heard the term the Nexus. In my past life, I died too early. The highest level of existence I'd ever encountered was an awakened at Wang Tang's level. Seeing the confusion on my face, the envoy continued speaking. The cataclysm of this world is far more complex than you imagine. The descent of the Red Moon was no accident. It was the reshaping of reality by higher dimensional laws. Ants like the Zhao family, no matter how much they struggle, are still just frogs at the bottom of a well. But you are different. The power you've displayed has already caught the attention of the Nexus. I've come to invite you to a trial that truly belongs to the strong. I stared at him with total indifference, feeling none of the excitement he likely expected. I only trust the sword in my hand. I'm not interested in your trials. The envoy wasn't offended. Instead, his smile grew even more cryptic. Oh, you'll be interested, because this trial concerns the true origin of the Red Moon's descent. Furthermore, the girl beside you with the angelic ability is one of the key elements needed to open the final ruins. The moment those words left his mouth, Lin Qingxue took a nervous step back, her face turning pale, my brow furrowed. I pulled Lin Qingxue behind me, shielding her. As long as I'm standing, nobody touches her. The mysterious figure shook his head. His body began to dissolve into shimmering specks of golden light. He faded away, vanishing into the thin air. Only a single sentence remained, echoing throughout the underground plaza. Lin Mo, we will meet again. When the ultimate crisis descends, you will eventually come to the hub seeking answers. I stared at the spot where he had disappeared, falling into a brief moment of silent contemplation. It seems the waters of this apocalypse run much deeper than I ever imagined. But no matter what kind of eldritch horror exists out there, as long as they dare to stand in my way, I will use these fists to crush them into nothingness. I turned my head toward Lin Qingxue. Though she was trembling with fear, her fists were still clenched tight. Don't be afraid. I'm going to make you stronger than anyone else. Taking Lin Qingxue with me, I pushed open the heavy gates of the Zhao family's underground vault. With a soul-piercing screech of grinding metal, the contents of the treasury were finally revealed. Here, there were no mountains of gold or silver like I'd expected. In this post-apocalyptic world, the paper and metal of the old era had long since lost their value. In their place stood rows of specialized crystal display cases, filled to the brim, with high-level spirit cores radiating a kaleidoscope of colors. These were the foundations the Zhao family had built over the years, the spoils they had plundered, from countless evil spirits and awakened ones. Lin Qingxue stared at the cores, her hand flying to her mouth in shock. She had clearly never seen such a massive hoard of cultivation resources. I, however, merely gave the room a cold, sweeping glance. A few ordinary high-grade spirit cores. For my current level, this was like trying to put out a forest fire with a cup of water. Migaza finally locked onto a solitary stone pedestal at the very back of the vault. Floating there was a tattered parchment scroll glowing with an eerie red light. The air around the scroll flickered and warped, as if space itself were being distorted by its power. I strode forward, ignoring the defensive seals placed around the pedestal. The raw physical strength of my Red Army form allowed me to phase right through a barrier. It would have shredded an epic rank awakened to pieces. The moment I reached out and grabbed the parchment, a massive surge of information flooded my mind. This was a map pointing far beyond Dragon City, deep into the heart of the endless wilderness. The map's destination was marked by a glaring, blood-red skull. Beside it, ancient characters spelled out 4 words: The God, Burial Forbidden Zone. A thrill of excitement curled the corners of my mouth. This was exactly the high-level hunting ground I needed. Staying in Dragon City, slaughtering these low-level families and common spirits, was no longer enough to help me break through. Only a forbidden zone like this one that dared to bury even gods. It could breed the kind of prey that truly interests me. Just as I tucked the scroll into my robe and prepared to lead Lin Qingshu out of the vault, the entire underground space began to tremble violently. Huge slabs of rock from the ceiling started to collapse. Just as we were about to step through the vault doors, the void in the center of the room suddenly tore open into a massive black rift. A void spirit, its body covered in bone-white barbs, lunged its head out of the tear. The creature's aura was ancient and utterly feral. Within its hollow eye sockets burned a ghostly blue soulfire. Its massive skeletal claws tore through the steel walls of the vault like they were paper. It seemed to have sensed the parchment's energy and had crossed through dimensions to claim it. Instinctively, Lin Qingshui manifested her angelic wings. A shield of holy light flickered in front of her, but under that terrifying void pressure, her light looked like a candle in a hurricane. I let out a cold snort and pulled Lin Qingshu behind me. Since you were kind enough to deliver yourself to my doorstep, I'll make you the appetizer before I head to the Forbidden Zone. I didn't reach for the golden dragon sword. Instead, I simply clenched my right fist. The gold and blue aura of a Saiyan instantly illuminated the entire underground vault. I lunged forward with everything I had, turning into a golden streak of light as I launched into the air. The void spirit unhinged its abyssal maw, filled with rows of jagged fangs, desperate to swallow me whole. I focused all the primal energy of the Red Army's creation into a single fist. I slammed it directly into his skeletal jaw. Asterisk crack, asterisk, a deafening explosion of bone. That void bone, supposedly indestructible? It shattered inch by inch under the sheer force of my strike. The evil spirit let out a piercing, wretched shriek. Its massive frame was utterly demolished by my hand. A spatial rift. I wasn't about to give him a chance to escape. I slammed my palms together, right in front of my chest. I condensed a qigong wave radiating the pure essence of annihilation. Turned to ash. A massive pillar of blue light instantly tore through that spatial rift. From deep within the void came a muffled explosion, followed by absolute dead silence. I powered down, my aura fading. I watched coldly as the rift slowly stitched itself back together. It was just a watchdog, a stray cur that crawled out from the forbidden zone of fallen gods. I turned my gaze toward Lin Qingshu. Get ready. We're leaving Dragon City. Lin Qingshu didn't hesitate for a second. She gave me a firm, resolute nod. As long as I can stay by my benefactor's side, I'll go anywhere. We left the ruins of the Zhao family estate behind. I ignored the rest of Dragon City's high-ranking families. I didn't care about their probing looks or their newfound terror. Taking Lin Qingshu with me, I headed straight for the forbidden zone of fallen gods. Once we passed the city's safe zone, the wasteland became a vision of pure nightmare. Vast stretches of blackened forest, reeking of rotten decay. Flocks of mutated birds circled the sky. Their crimson eyes remained locked onto us, the intruders, but every time they dared to swoop in, the sheer pressure of my Eastern Emperor aura would pulverize their internal organs instantly. We trekked through the wilderness for 3 full days. The number of high-level mutants and wandering spirits that fell by my hand was beyond counting. The primal chaos spear within my sea of consciousness, amidst this endless slaughter, became increasingly dark, deep, and ominous. Finally, at dusk on the 4th day, we reached the edge of a canyon, shrouded in a thick, blood-red mist. The gravity here was 10 times stronger than the world outside. The surrounding rocks were stained a localized, eerie shade of dark crimson. According to the map, this is it, the entrance to the forbidden zone of fallen gods. Just as we stepped into the heart of the canyon, the dark earth beneath us gave way, collapsing into a massive sinkhole. A bottomless, ancient underground battlefield was revealed before our eyes. An ancient dragon large enough to blot out the sky. Awakened from its slumber, it let out a roar that seemed to shatter the very firmament. That ancient dragon's body was so gargantuan. It nearly filled the entire dome of the underground cavern. Every single bone in its body was etched with ancient, malevolent, cursed runes. As it stirred, the blood mist of the entire forbidden zone began spiraling toward it. That suffocating sense of dread was several times more powerful than the evil god-level spirits I had faced before. Lin Qingsui's face went pale under the crushing weight. Even drawing breath became a struggle for her. I immediately projected a golden Saiyan aura to cocoon her within it. It shielded her from the dragon's overwhelming pressure. This beast was definitely a mythic-tier existence when it was alive. Even as a mere skeleton, it still possesses a terrifyingly sharp combat instinct. Its eyes, burning with blood-red flames, locked onto us with lethal intent. It seemed enraged that two mere ants would dare disturb its eternal sleep. Its massive skeletal tail, like a pillar holding up the heavens, swept toward us with world-ending force. Under the weight of that terrifying power, the air screamed with a piercing sonic boom. He pushed Lin Qingxue into a safe corner. Instead of fear, my eyes were alight with a burning, fanatical lust for battle. Perfect. I've been looking for a way to test my new fused power. Majestic golden dragon horns instantly sprouted from my forehead. Gorgeous, indestructible golden dragon scales covered my body. I didn't dodge. I charged straight ahead to meet that massive skeletal tail head-on. I lunged forward. Reaching out with both hands, I unleashed the supreme, overwhelming power of the Red Army. Against all odds, I caught it, that massive bone tail, strong enough to shatter entire mountain ranges. The sheer force of the impact swept through me, causing the ground beneath my feet to collapse into a massive crater instantly. But I stood my ground, rooted like an ancient tree, not backing down a single inch. The Elder Dragon seemed stunned. It never expected a mere human to match its raw strength. It let out a furious, deafening roar, unhinging its abyssal maw to unleash a world-ending blast of black dragon breath. I let out a cold sneer. The candle dragon bloodline within me erupted completely. An aura fa pua, far more sovereign than its own, surged toward the heavens. I tightened my grip on empty air, and a golden dragon sword, radiating supreme majesty, materialized in my right hand. Before this divine blade, the symbol of the ancestor of all dragons, that once arrogant elder dragon, actually trembled in fear. The black dragon breath it took such pride in met the golden sword's aura and dissolved instantly, like snow under a scorching sun. My body blurred, transforming into a bolt of golden lightning, as I soared straight up, cutting through the dragon breath. The golden dragon sword erupted with a blinding light. "Slay!" I roared, swinging the blade down. The sword she, carrying the force to split heaven and earth, buried itself deep into the elder dragon's skull. That indestructible bone, beneath the weight of this single strike, was sliced clean through like a block of tofu. The blood-red flames within the dragon's eyes flickered violently a few times, before finally being extinguished for good. Its colossal frame, stripped of the power that sustained it, came crashing down. It slammed into the earth with a heavy thud, kicking up a massive cloud of dust across the battlefield. I landed calmly atop the dragon's remains. Using the tip of my sword, I pried out a fist-sized core, thick with the scent of death and draconic majesty. The energy contained within this core is enough to push my physical body to a whole new level. After stowing the core away, I took Lin Qingxue with me, and continued exploring the deepest reaches of the underground battlefield. We passed through countless shattered ancient weapons and gargantuan skeletons, until we reached the very edge of the battlefield, where we discovered an ancient altar. At the center of the altar hovered an orb of light, emitting a soft white glow. The pure light energy within that orb resonated powerfully with Lin Qingxue's angelic ability. Lin Qingxue stared at the orb, her eyes filled with excitement. "Master, I can feel it. If I absorb this, my ability will break through to the legendary rank." I nodded, motioning for her to go up and take it. Just as Lin Qingxue stepped onto the altar stairs, reaching out to touch the orb, the sky suddenly tore open, revealing a massive golden rift. Several figures clad in silver battle armor, central inquisitors with unfathomable power, descended from the sky, surrounding us completely. These silver-armored inquisitors each radiated an air of high and mighty authority. Their leader, the chief inquisitor, gripped a great sword wreathed in holy flames, and looked down at us with cold disdain. The golden emblem on his chest flashed blindingly, representing the absolute authority of the central command. "You, the girl with the angelic ability, stop absorbing that orb immediately. Come with us to the center to face judgment. As for you, you lowly wasteland mutant, get on your knees now. Hand over the Elder Dragon Core you just stole." I looked at these self-important fools, as if I were staring at a bunch of idiots. A cruel, mocking smirk curled onto my lips. In this post-apocalyptic world where strength is everything, Someone actually has the balls to tell me to kneel? Lin Qingsui stood on the altar, looking at me with a hint of worry, though her gaze remained firm. I gave her a dismissive wave, signaling for her to get back to the orb. Ignore these small fry. When the Chief Inquisitor saw me completely ignore his command, he flew into a murderous rage. You arrogant insect. You actually dare to defy the will of the Central Nexus? You're begging for death. The arbitrators standing behind him instantly transformed into streaks of silver lightning, lunging straight for me. They channeled incredibly dazzling lightsabers into their hands, intent on hacking me into pieces. I didn't even bother summoning the golden dragon sword. I simply raised my right hand with total indifference. The Berserk Saiyan aura condensed into a highly compressed orb of energy within my palm. With a casual flick of my wrist, that energy ball carrying the power to annihilate everything smashed into the arbitrators. Following an earth-shattering explosion, those so-called invincible elites of the Nexus didn't even have time to scream. Before they were vaporized instantly, the massive shockwave sent the wreckage of the entire underground battlefield flying into the air. The arrogance on the chief arbitrator's face froze, replaced by a look of sheer, uncontrollable terror. This is impossible. You're clearly just a low level, awakened from the outer zones. How could you possess this kind of power? I walked toward him, stepping through the void one pace at a time. With every step, the crushing pressure of my aura intensified. Your so-called absolute authority is absolutely nothing when faced with true power. I pressed my index and middle fingers together, forming a golden blade of chi that instantly pierced through his chest. The chief arbitrator's eyes bulged as his limp body plummeted from midair, crashing heavily onto the ground. The silver battle armor he was so proud of was as flimsy as paper before my swordji. Right then, Lin Qingshu, atop the altar, completed her final transformation. The wings on her back grew from 2 pairs to 4, radiating a brilliant, holy splendor. She successfully broke through to the legendary rank, and was even faintly touching the threshold of the mythic rank. Overjoyed, she flew to my side, but just as she was about to thank me, the ancient altar beneath our feet collapsed without warning. A massive black vortex of void energy formed instantly, violently sucking both of us into an unknown space deep within the forbidden zone. The surrounding space distorted violently. The intense sensation of weightlessness made me frown slightly, but I didn't panic. I immediately deployed the Torch Dragon's golden shield, firmly protecting Lin Qingsui by my side. Once the weightlessness faded, we slammed down onto a cold, hard black plaza. There was no sky here, only endless darkness and eerie stone pillars that towered into the clouds. The air was thick with the stench of death, 100 times more terrifying than the ancient dragon from before. Right in the center of the plaza stood a massive throne, constructed from countless human skulls. On that throne sat a figure shrouded in black robes. He slowly raised his head, revealing a grotesque face that was half angel and half demon. This was actually a fallen god from the Legends of Exile. His blood-red demonic eye locked onto Lin Qingshu as he greedily licked his lips. Such a pure source of primordial light. Once I devour you, I'll be able to break this damned seal and return to the human realm. The fallen god suddenly stood up, and a terrifying aura capable of crushing the heavens instantly swept across the entire plaza. Lin Qingshu's newly ascended legendary aura was utterly suppressed. Under the weight of this divine pressure, the 4 pairs of light wings behind her grew incredibly dim, and she could barely even remain standing. I gave a cold snort and stepped directly in front of Lin Qingshu, shielding her from the full brunt of the fallen god's pressure. You want to touch her? You'd better ask the sword in my hand first. I reached back and summoned the golden dragon sword. Its blade instantly wreathed in the purple-black lightning of destruction that belonged to the Eastern Emperor. Ignorant human, you think just because you've mastered a few high-level abilities that you're ready to challenge a true god? He violently snapped his fallen black wings open. Countless black feathers, sharp as spears, rained down upon me like a localized apocalypse. Each individual feather pulsed with a terrifying surge of energy, enough to pierce straight through a legend tier awakened. But I didn't flinch. The Saiyan blood in my veins hit its boiling point instantly. An aura of gold and blue flames erupted from me like a volcanic blast, forming an absolute defense around my body. The black feathers slammed into my aura in a rapid-fire chain of explosions. 16. Yet they couldn't. But there was simply no way. Leave so much as a scratch on me. My right leg coiled like a spring and released. I turned into a blur of light, reappearing instantly right above the fallen god. Get on your knees. Channeled with the power of the great army's creation, my kick came crashing down toward his skull. The fallen god's face paled in sheer terror. He scrambled to raise his massive black scythe to block the blow. With the thunderous shriek of shattering metal, his supposedly indestructible god-tier scythe snapped clean under the force of my foot. The overwhelming impact traveled through his arms and surged through his entire body, slamming him deep into the bedrock below. The entire plaza shuddered violently. Massive stone pillars collapsed into rubble. I looked down from the air, at the pathetic mess crawling out of the ruins. This so-called god. Is this the divine power you're so proud of? It's pathetically weak. Just as I gripped the golden dragon sword, ready to take the head of this fallen deity, something moved in the darkness behind me. Countless crimson tentacles shot out, binding my wrists in a death grip. A familiar figure I never expected to see again slowly stepped out from the shadows. His body was a mass of tumors and bone spurs. He had long ago lost any semblance of a human being. Yet, even through those twisted features, I recognized exactly who he was. It was Zhang Wei, an old acquaintance from my past life, who was supposed to have died as an ordinary human during the early days of the cataclysm. Before the disaster hit back then, I had even gone out of my way to text him a warning, telling him to stay in his room and not go outside. I never imagined that not only was he still alive, but he'd become this nauseating monster. Zhang Wei's bloodshot eyes, fixed on me with pure, venomous spite. His voice was a ragged, piercing crawl. Lin Mo, you selfish bastard. You knew the cataclysm was coming. Why didn't you come to save me sooner? You had all this power, but you just stood by and watched those monsters swallow me whole. Look at me now. I'm neither man nor ghost, and it's all because of you. I looked at him without a trace of emotion. There was no pity in my eyes, only endless indifference. I gave you a warning. It's your own weakness that brought you here. In this apocalypse, being weak is the ultimate sin. You have no right to bark at me. Zhang Wei let out a furious roar. The crimson tentacles on his body suddenly swelled to several times their size. To my surprise, he began to frantically absorb the remaining power of the fallen god nearby. The fallen god, already clinging to life after my attack, let out one final, desperate scream. His very essence was being forcibly devoured by this freakish mutant, Zhang Wei. Zhang Wei's presence began to skyrocket. He tore right through the legend tier limit, reaching a terrifying, unknown realm of power. Lin Mo, today, I'm going to rip you to shreds. I'll make you feel every bit of the agony I've endured. He lashed out with hundreds of thick, bloody tentacles, closing in on me from every direction. Each one was covered in razor-sharp barbs and reeked of a sickening, rotten stench. I watched the maddened creature with a cold gaze and shook my head. If you think living is such a burden, then I'll be merciful and put you out of your misery for good. I closed my eyes, reaching for the chaos spear deep within my consciousness. A cheerful, vibrant hum resonates from the weapon. In the next heartbeat, a spear, coiled in writhing bolts of black lightning, materializes in my grip. This is the very first time in the real world that I have fully summoned this supreme divine artifact, a weapon capable of slaying even the highest primordial beings. The moment the chaos spear appears, the darkness of the entire dimension seems to be swallowed whole by its absolute will of destruction. With a flick of my wrist, the chaos spear dissolves into 10,000 streaks of black lightning, striking out at the swarm of tentacles filling the sky. There are no world-shaking explosions. Only the faint, muffled sound of a sharp blade shredding through fallen leaves. Zhang Wei's indestructible, mutated tentacles are nothing more than brittle toys before the chaos spear. In an instant, they are sliced into countless fragments, turning into heaps of ash upon the ground. Zhang Wei lets out a piercing, blood-curdling scream. His massive, mutated body begins to recoil in a frenzy, desperately trying to flee. I don't give him a single second to breathe. With a flash of movement, I'm standing right in front of him. The chaos spear in my hand, ruthlessly, pierces through his throbbing, mutated core. The purple-black power of destruction erupts instantly, completely annihilating every trace of life within him. His eyes bulge, wide with shock, staring fixedly at me. The venomous malice in his gaze finally fades into an endless, hollow void. Under the hungering consumption of the chaos spear, his body collapses into a pile of black dust, vanishing from this world forever. In a world like this, showing mercy to anyone is a mistake. Do that, and you're the one who ends up dead. Lin Qingshui nods, her face pala, staying close behind me. I begin to absorb the massive primordial energy, released after the deaths of the fallen god and Zhang Wei. The four god-level powers within me harmonize further, becoming one. I can feel it. I'm only one step away from shattering the very laws of this world. Just as I prepare to lead Lin Qingshui toward an exit out of this subterranean space, the endless darkness above our heads is suddenly torn asunder by a force of absolute terror. A giant hand, woven entirely from the glow of shimmering stars, reaches out from the rift. With the unstoppable weight of a collapsing mountain, it comes crashing down toward the entire forbidden zone. The entire underground cavern begins to crumble violently under the pressure of this dimensional strike. It's as if the world itself is folding. Even though Lin Qingshui has ascended to the legendary rank, she is still forced back by the sheer weight of this divine pressure. She looks up in despair, watching the celestial hand that now eclipses the entire vaulted ceiling. Master, this power, it doesn't belong to this planet. We have to run. Run? That word has never existed in my dictionary. I lift my head, staring defiantly at the descending cosmic hand. My eyes burn with a fanatical thirst for battle. In my past life, I was as lowly as an ant. Back then, even a single piece of bread was enough to cost me my life, but I have been reborn. Since I've fused with the power of 4 supreme beings, I am destined to trample every rule beneath my feet. Not only will I not run, I'm going to devour this power entirely and use it as fuel for my breakthrough. I let out a thunderous roar, pushing the 4 god-level powers in my body to their absolute limit. Hongjun's body of creation radiates a brilliant, golden divine aura, banishing the surrounding darkness completely. Vegito's Super Saiyan instinct causes my combat energy to explode, surging tenfold in an instant. Zhulong's Dranic Might manifests as a physical golden dragon, coiling and roaring around my body. And Donghuang's Will of Destruction is funneled entirely into the Chaos Spear in my right hand. I crouch low, then lunge upward with a violent kick. The black plaza beneath me shatters into an abyss. I become a streak of light, soaring against the heavens, charging straight for that celestial beast of a hand. Explosive booms thunder in my ears, the sound of space itself fracturing, unable to withstand my speed. I grip the Chaos Spear with both hands, merging every ounce of power within me into a single point. Shatter. I thrust my spear deep into the center of that massive starlit palm. 2 forces capable of total annihilation collided midair with a deafening roar, unleashing a brilliance 10 million times more blinding than the sun. The celestial hand let out a low, vibrating rumble, trying to crush me into nothingness through sheer, absolute power. But at that exact moment, the Hongjun bloodline within me erupted with a world-shaking primal fury. Under this immense pressure, my physical body didn't just hold together, it began to frantically devour the astral energy from the giant hand itself. That shimmering starlight flowed through the Chaos Spear, surging relentlessly into every limb and bone in my body. Every single one of my cells began greedily feasting on this pure energy from a higher dimension. Asterisk crack. Asterisk. A faint hairline fracture appeared in the center of the celestial palm, quickly spreading out like a spiderweb. The higher dimensional being hidden behind that hand clearly realized something was wrong and tried to cut the energy connection. Too late. A crazed, cold smirk tugged at the corner of my mouth. The absorption speed within me instantly spiked to the limit. With a thunderous blast that shattered the very firmament, once invincible celestial hand completely exploded. A deluge of starlight poured down like a massive waterfall, enveloping me entirely. I closed my eyes, bathed in the endless glow of the stars, feeling the shift happening deep inside. An earth-shattering transformation. The 4 distinct god-tier powers I possessed, tempered by the astral energy, finally fused together into perfect harmony. My cultivation rank surged forward like a breaking dam, smashing through the shackles of the mythic level and stepping into a brand new, unprecedented realm. The moment I opened my eyes, 2 beams of solid golden light shot from my pupils, piercing straight through the ceiling of the Forbidden Zone. I feel as though I could exhale and completely wipe Long City off the face of the map.